Really, I love being invited to talk today, but I would be lying if I said it was anybody but Mendocino RCD and Goldridge RCD that really spearheaded the majority of this. Came up with the idea, began working with Sitka, and really taking significant responsibility in design of what we wanted. Sitka obviously is the genius behind the project tracker, but they do have to know, what do we want? How do we want to show it? You know, how is this going to work for this range and district function and size? So after that initial work, 18 districts have signed on and began entering projects in just as a method of determining, you know, is this initial format going to work for us? What are the holes? What are the barriers, so that we can have an ongoing kind of quality control and design change to really meet our needs. Funding has come from a really amazing program that the California Department of Conservation has managed for capacity building for RCDs. They provided a lot of the startup money to build the initial demo, which has been amazing. And then individual districts have supplemented with pledged money for that startup, and then will be required. We're still kind of circling around, how is this going to be funded long term? Because while the design is amazing and works very well right now, everybody, you know, is more than aware, when you have this many individual districts entering data, no matter how engaged everyone is, you have to have an oversight, a QC person, to make sure this doesn't become less functional over time, and that's going to take money. So ultimately, it will be up to individual districts to financially support this going forward. Administratively, everybody who is a user has access. There is a team of RCDs along with Sitka that are looking at data coming in, making sure that edits are approved. But that's been a really quick process. And then as far as governance goes, I think people, you know, not everybody is on an identical page about exactly how this is going to, how suggested changes and kind of global changes especially are going to get considered and implemented. So to that extent, I think we're still kind of working on how that's going to function. We'll talk more about that on the next slide. Okay, so the updated, you know, from the beginnings of this conversation, you know, I think that started probably 2 years ago to where we are now. I think, again, while our district has participated, we could not take credit. It's really the hard work of those 2 districts and some really dedicated individuals. But phase 1 and phase 2 have been completed and have gone from basic entry of project data to being able to enter in training videos, project workflow, and updating the way that reports are pulled and how they are viewed. Phase 3 is in progress. We're working on a plan and we are seeking funding. Next slide. So this is one of the more interesting, I think, functions of the way that the RCD project tracker works. The stakeholder team came up with a number of what they call themes to make sure that, you know, we don't have 500 categories representing every single project every district ever does. That would be crazy, but that those individual project categories could be aligned within kind of catch-all terms that really represent either the resource they're addressing or kind of the regional uplift that they're assisting with. And the really nice part about the diversity in themes is it does enable participation by every district. As we discussed earlier, there's so much difference in what we do. It's been, you know, it's enabled everybody to put their project in, whether they're working on endangered species or local ag or forests. And I think it does save when you, I mean, one of the benefits, I'm sure people are gonna have questions about what are the exact reasons that you would get into this. I mean, the amazing benefit is we can then go and pull reports as a user on any of these things, not just data that we know, and it saves us time from when we're asked for quick provision of data on work of RCDs on endangered species or climate change, et cetera, instead of making a series of panicked calls or firing off emails to other managers and hoping they're in the office, they can get us that info. We don't have to go through any of that. We can just pull it very quickly, and it is reliable peer-reviewed data or third-party QC data that we're then presenting to stakeholders.
And for folks that are on the call that may be aware of the open standards for the practice of conservation, these themes are really, these are targets that folks' theories of change are working towards improving. So the system could be flexible and explicitly state that, but for RCDs, this is how they kind of wanted to present and tell their story.
Oh, and then the project map. I think being able to pull that up and looking at the geographic split really allows, you can view by theme, but you can also view obviously regionally, statewide, and I think it lets any user, you don't have to be a project stakeholder. Anybody that wants to view what RCDs do on a regional basis, you can see clustering of projects and then drill down and see exactly what those districts are working on to look at trends. And then we also added the legislative districts, which has been an unbelievable tool. Similar to what we talked about with the themes, we are asked regularly to outreach to local, regional, statewide appointed and elected officials, and this allows a quick generation of data so that they can see what's happening in their specific district, and the ability to pull that information and then kind of pull out of it what that specific elected person is interested in based on, their work, their committee participation, et cetera, has been, again, something that used to be so incredibly days of work to pull this information together is now, a matter of minutes to generate a report, which we've done. It's been incredibly, incredibly helpful. And this is an example. This is pieces to get it to fit all on one page. This isn't exactly how it looks, but this is the core information that is available immediately when you go to a project that we have entered in. So, the way that it used to work in our office, individual areas of responsibility, under different departments, you had to go to those people to get this information, request an email, wait for that person to get back to you. And the way that it works now, being able to pull a report, you get these really key pieces of information that you could use in everything from reporting to, sharing on social media, provision to partners, use in grant applications. And as you can see, you have key photos, you have partners, you have budget, map, project description, and then you have key accomplishments. This is a Student Landowner Education and Watershed Stewardship, or SLUES program, a Center for Land-Based Learning design that we've started conducting in our own district. So I think the accomplishments would be longer for a different kind of project. In this one, we really talk about the number of students engaged, but you would be able to have key accomplishments for other projects, number of trees planted, or acre feet of water saved, et cetera, would be able to pop up. And then it also shows you the project themes that we identified as this project fitting into. And because of the nature of work, it fit into ag and endangered species, healthy watersheds, and education.